Good morning. My name is Natalie DeLeon.
I'm Gabriel Maroney.
I'm Won-Young Kim.
And I'm Karen Birch. Today we will be answering the question, to what extent does the removal of the Daca program change the future of the United States students and workers ages 16 to 25?
Our claim is that the removal of the Daca program will negatively impact the future of the United States. Our solution is that permanently ending the Daca program will affect the United States citizens' culture, economy, education, and politics.
What does DACA stand for? DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And what is DACA? DACA is an American immigration policy that allows some individuals who are brought to the United States illegally as children to receive a renewable 2-year period of deferred action from deportation and become eligible for a work permit in the U.S. DACA also grants eligibility for a work permit, a social security card, and a driver's license.
Student DACA recipients are given quite the bare minimum when it comes to education and work. The Supreme Court case Pryor v. Doe in 1982 allows undocumented students in the U.S. the right to a public kindergarten through 12 education. However, this doesn't guarantee these students the same right to a higher education. They are not given the same panoply of scholarship opportunities, they're given no financial aid or government aid, and because technically they were born outside the U.S., they are charged international student rates. According to this diagram by the American Council of Education, 72% of student DACA recipients have gained a bachelor's degree or higher. They have made do with higher tuition rates, and they have shown perseverance through this. They have shown that through this perseverance, however, this is quite literally the opposite of what immigrants and DACA recipients are viewed as socially in the U.S. The removal of DACA was one of the first steps in Donald Trump's racist agenda against immigrants. In Trump's campaign speech at the Trump Tower atrium on June 15, 2015, he said, "When Mexico is sending their people, they are not sending their best. They are bringing drugs, they are bringing crime, they are rapists." This statement, and many like it, has changed the culture of how immigrants are treated in America. It's the reason why the removal of DACA was even being considered today. The mere removal of DACA has brought out the humanity in America. People of all ages, races, and genders have come together for one cause and underneath organizations such as United We Dream. One of these people fighting for their right is Alex Afaro. He was brought to the U.S. at age 5 from El Salvador and has earned an education here just like my teammates and I. He was able to obtain a playwriting job through DACA and uses his talents to talk about what being an immigrant in America is like. It is a part of what is known as the American dream, what he has done.
As Natalie mentioned earlier, without the DACA program, the American dream ceases to exist. According to the Cato Institute, deporting those with DACA status would cost over $60 million in lost tax revenue and result in a $280 billion reduction in economic growth over the next decade. So what is GDP? GDP stands for gross domestic product. Typically, the higher a nation's GDP is, the more wealthy that nation is. What accounts for GDP is personal consumption of citizens, government expenses, business investment, and net imports and exports. With the decrease in GDP comes higher rates of unemployment and lower wages. If DACA recipients were to be deported, they would no longer be able to provide their labor, and therefore GDP would decrease. In 2009, for example, 1 million jobs were lost when the economy crashed and the GDP plummeted. According to an article, Losing Dreamers would be a loss for Heartland Economy by John Austin, uncertainties over the future of H-1B and guest worker visas are affecting our high-tech and large-scale agricultural industries and causing reductions in international students coming to our leading universities. The removal of the DACA program will lead to a reduction in innovation in many career fields. With 91% of DACA recipients being employed, labor shortages would affect businesses across the country. As the government begins to limit visas, foreign students are not able to come to the United States in order to earn a higher education.
According to an article published by Insider Higher Ed titled "DACA Lives But for How Long?", they made the following question after Trump saying that Congress had 6 months to act, in his words, legalize DACA. What colleges can do to assist students with DACA status during this prolonged period of uncertainty? We need to continue to advocate and lobby for a permanent legislative solution, but we also need to think ahead about how we can best protect our students if that doesn't happen. Right now, the best that we can do is tell our students, you currently have DACA status. It hasn't been rescinded yet, so do all you can to complete your studies. said Lenore Rodicio, the Executive Vice President and Provost for Miami-Dade College, which has about 400 DACA students enrolled and about 100 that graduated in the spring of 2018. Based on a survey that the UC San Diego political professor Tom Wong did for American Progress in 2015, with over 3,000 DACA students, 92% of those students said that the program allowed them to pursue an education opportunities that they previously could not. 70% of the DACA recipients currently in school are also employed, and 65% of DACA recipients are currently in school. But like Natalie said, in 2017, the number from 65% went down to 45% of all the DACA recipients are currently enrolled in high school or college. Each year, 80,000 DACA recipients become 18 years of age or older. 65,000 graduate from high school, and 5 to 10% enroll in college. The educational levels being pursued by DACA recipients is 72% reach a bachelor's degree or higher, 19% associate's degree, and 8% high school. According to the Michigan League for Public Policy, around 8 to 9% of the total U.S. population is not enrolled and has not completed high school, but 0% of all the DACA recipients are not enrolled and has not completed high school.
The DACA program is a deportation protection program for individuals who have been raised in the United States. The DACA program has been implemented by Barack Obama on June of 2012. As you can see in this graph, there has been an increase of Mexican immigration after the DACA program has been implemented. An amnesty is an official pardon for people who have been convicted of political offenses. The DACA program is essentially an amnesty for people who have been illegal immigration. This results in criminal activity. The concern for the DACA program is the message that it sends to the people from around the world that it is okay for illegal immigrants to come into the United States. One assumption about illegal immigration is that they bring violence and crime to wherever they inhabit, but only 0.2% of DACA enrollees had their statuses revoked because of criminal activity. The ways the U.S. government deals with the immigration issues for young adults now will determine how immigration laws are going to be interpreted in the future. The removal of the DACA program will change the political views of immigration laws in the U.S. and the future of many Americans called dreamers.
Senators Dick Durbin and Lindsey Graham have introduced bipartisan legislation aimed at allowing people who are eligible or have applied for DACA to remain in the U.S. with permission to work without fear of deportation. They have proposed what is known as the Bridge Act. Within this Bridge Act, DACA recipients would have criminal background checks, the current recipients would get provisional status and opportunity for extensions, and the DACA program would have the same eligibility requirements. A downside to this solution is the act did not pass because there was not enough political pull. However, this can be created by students, sending letters to state representatives and presenting data with the effects of removal of DACA. What questions may you have?
There would be applause if there were people here. Okay, I'm literally just going to go from Adam over to here, okay? So Adam, first question to you. Describe how the content of your team presentation changed as a result of your group's discussion.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Describe how what you talked about in the presentation changed as a result of you guys talking.
When we were doing the presentation, we found that Garen had the GDP, and I learned that how significant the GDP was when the DACA enrollees were working. So then the presentation changed because the GDP was a significant portion of the U.S. economy.
All right, thank you. Matt, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact of your understanding of the problem you guys identified?
I had a great impact in his presentation because,
How did they affect you, not you affect them?
can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Reflecting on their work, which one of their work changed your mind about, or helped you understand the issue of DACA?
Okay. Adam's political view about that DACA recipients were seen as either affiliated to gang activity or any criminal background checks, that really changed my mind about how the way DACA was viewed, because originally I had thought that this was another case. I didn't see DACA as the way it is now when we set up our presentation. It changed a lot because of what he put.
All right, Gabe, in what way did you improve your ability to work with a group as a result of this project?
Since the last group presentation we did, I wasn't almost the most friendly person, but I've been with Adam since a few presentations back, and Natalie and Garen are very friendly people, and I really enjoyed liking with them, and it made me a more friendly person, I guess you could say.
Okay. And Garen, save the best for last, right?
Yes, of course. Sorry.
What was the strongest counter argument to your solution that your team identified?
So Natalie mentioned that many Americans view DACA recipients to be participating in illegal activity, bringing drugs into the United States. But as Adam said, only 0.2% of DACA recipients have had their status removed because of participating in illegal activity. So Nat was able to bring in this counterclaim while Adam was able to refute it with data.
All right, thank you. You guys are done.